Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. So the Recur releases here of my most recent unboxing are dwindling. This is the second to last Recur figure that I have currently to take a look at with you guys, and this is the really nice looking Stegosaurus from Recur. And this one particularly really tugs at my heartstrings because if you are familiar with me and this channel for quite a while, and specifically Stegosaurus reviews, you will know that I have a very soft spot in my heart for any Stegosaurus that is green and has reddish plates, and that is exactly what Recur has done here with their Stegosaurus. So I am instantly drawn to it because I just love that color scheme of Stegosaurus, and they've done a really good job on this one as far as the actual paintwork goes. Like, I love that color there in the stomach, like the lower part of the stomach here. Really appealing looking if you ask me, and a really cool looking paint job for the figure. The sculpt as well is quite nicely done. Not your most accurate or up-to-date interpretation of a Stegosaurus, but in my opinion it is a very appealing looking Stegosaurus. So let's go ahead and get a closer look at it right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt of our Stegosaurus, you can see straight away that the mouth is open wide and he looks almost alarmed, and that's something that I feel like Recur has done with quite a few of their herbivores, and I do like that because it allows for some really cool diorama possibilities when you can have a dinosaur like this that has a genuine look of fear in its face. And that is definitely something that I see here on this Recur Stegosaurus. You can see that the inside of the mouth is painted with a very nice pinkish type of a color. You can see that the tongue is sculpted out inside the mouth, and it's a very nice natural look for the inside of the mouth of the figure. You can see that the beak has been given a nice kind of like a blackish or dark brown wash. So the detailing of the beak shows up beautifully, but also gives some nice color variation in general for that beak area. The nostrils are sculpted out and painted with a black. They're very nicely elaborated right there. And you can see that the paintwork of the face is quite beautifully done because you have some very nice, very, very light greens that have been dry brushed over with a darker green, so it makes the face have some nice color variation, and overall, in my opinion, a pretty realistic appearance as far as the paint goes. The eye is painted with a reddish color, given a black pupil, and you can see the eye over here on this side as well. And again, you can see how it very smoothly transitions to this kind of like an orangish brown here on the underside, and I really, really like that color that's added there. As you move back into the neck, you can see that the Stegosaurus has its neck stretched out really quite far and tensing quite a bit because, again, if there is a predator nearby, it obviously would be very alarmed. It's showing the alarm in its face, but also in the tensing of the neck. You can see the plates start to pick up, and I love the way the plates as well have been painted, as well as some black that kind of runs over the top of the plates. But the further back into the plates we get, you can see how they've applied that paint with almost like a wash. So it creeps within a lot of the cracks and crevices of the plates, and you can see how they still kind of highlight the plates with that black that runs up over the top of the plates, but there's also some areas within the plates that show off that black in like the center of the plates with a pretty cool looking design, so it helps to give it a bit of a flashy look. But even while all that is occurring, you can still see some variations of greens that kind of pop up here and there within the plates, so even some more added color variation, which I really like as far as that goes. It definitely gives it a lifelike appearance, and the sculpt in general is super highly detailed as far as the plate detail goes, and the plates also have kind of a glossy look to them, so they shine and stand out a bit more than they would otherwise. So I really, really like the plates of this Stegosaurus. As you move down into the front leg, you can see that the muscle definition is quite nicely displayed. You have a very nice curve here to the ankle as the leg appears to be just picking up off of the ground. Very nice looking foot sculpt. The nails are painted with kind of a gray, but they're just kind of like dry brushed over a little bit, so it's not like an overly defining coloration to the nails, just a little subtle hint of that gray that's just been kind of dry brushed over to make that detail pop. And you can see how they've kind of like dry brushed some of the green over top of that lighter green, again similar to what they had done up on the face, but you can also see like some blacks that show up and stripe throughout certain areas as well. And as we lead back into the stomach, you can see that area that I was talking about with that really cool orange coloration here that leads up from the underbelly, and then you can see how they've kind of like allowed it to creep through some of the scales here on the side of the dinosaur before it transitions to a super light green, and then you can see how they've dry brushed out a lot of the scale detail and skin texture of the Stegosaurus with a darker green, Very cool looking paintwork. You can see some nice creasing here as that rear leg is pushing forward into the body. That leg looks immense in the thigh area. Also sports some pretty nice looking muscle tone in both the thigh and then leading down into the calf. You can make out the kneecap there in the front. The foot sculpt again looks pretty nice back here. Pretty much what I would expect. Some nice creasing there in the ankle of the Stegosaurus. Very nice scale detail throughout as well. You can see some nice creasing and everything going on here in the back of the thigh leading into the tail, again showing how the skin is stretching off of the tail as that leg pulls forward. And then you lead out the length of the tail. Again, you can see lots of really nice color variation as you lead out the length of the tail, and the plates look super nice up here on the back. Again, really striking as you lead out to that tail, the tip of the tail with the Thagomizers. The Thagomizers don't really have too much paintwork to them. You can see it's just kind of like a little hint of black to just highlight them a little bit, which, isn't that bad. You can see the same deal here on the underside. I would have preferred maybe a little bit more paintwork on the Thagomizers, but it still doesn't look bad. And then if you take a look here at the opposing side, you can see that the legs on this side, both legs are back further than the legs that we see on the opposing side. So as opposed to the legs kind of leading, both legs on this side are trailing more so. But you can see as far as like the legs go, they look really quite nice. We have another one of those booklets here, like Recur always includes, which if we open that up, I didn't mention this at the beginning of the review, you can see again the size of the Stegosaurus is in 1/35th, and we get an idea of the product size in general. Then we have some information on the Stegosaurus, as well as like a little question and answer area. And then some, oh no, usually we have information on Recur right there, but we didn't have it on this one. Sometimes they trick me with that every once in a while. But again, the foot sculpt looks quite nice there. Some nice creasing, and again, in the rear leg here in the ankle area. And then up here, you can see that that foot sculpt also looks quite nice. Again, beautiful texturing to the skin throughout the entire Stegosaurus. You can see the elbow present right there. Nice creasing in the joint of the leg as we move up here into the body. Nice creasing here as the leg leads into the body. And again, some more of that really nice coloration with that kind of orangish color creeping through the green. I really love that. And you can really see just generally how highly detailed the sculpt of the Stegosaurus is when we look at it up close. You can see some more stretching of the skin again, or actually more so of a bunching of the skin right there due to the leg pushing into it a little bit. And then we lead out the length of the tail into the Thagomizers again. And the only area that I'm not super sold on is just how far apart the plates are up here on the back. On the Stegosaurus, I feel like the plates should be a little bit closer together, but that's a pretty minor thing to me because overall I feel like the Stegosaurus is just super appealing looking from a paint and sculpt standpoint. Definitely a fan of this figure. I actually didn't even mention how the orange coloration here runs along the entire underside of the Stegosaurus, which you can see looks really cool. You can also see some beautiful detailing here to the underside of the feet, so Recur really goes the extra mile to sculpt out every area as far as a detailing aspect, even some stripes here on the underside, which I really like that as well. But again, a beautiful looking Stegosaurus. Again, a very nicely sized one as well. As far as a size goes, for a length, you are looking at right around, tough to get through these plates to really tell, but it looks like it's closing in on about 10.5 inches, roughly. Maybe if I could get this straight over, or it'd at least be close, or about 27 centimeters, I would say. So not a perfect measurement, but probably pretty close. The highest point would be the plates here on the back, and you're looking at about 4 3/4 inches, or around the 12, closing in on 12.5 centimeter area. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line in comparison to our really cool Recur Stegosaurus. And you can see that just like usual with Recur, this figure sports a very nice, very impressive size overall. And as far as the Stegosaurus goes, it's probably one of the bigger Stegosaurus models that I have in my collection, which is definitely a plus. I love the sizable nature of these Recur figures. They usually do always have some pretty impressive size, and you can definitely see that with this Stegosaurus. So this Recur Stegosaurus is a beautiful figure yet again from Recur. Again, instantly tugging at my heartstrings with that green coloration to the body and those red plates. I just love that, and it almost has like a reddish orange type of a look to the plates, which is even more appealing. Like, it's just such a flashy look for Stegosaurus, and the red and green play off of each other other so well that it always just draws me into a Stegosaurus when it has those colors, and Recur has done a great job overall as far as those color choices for the figure and the actual application of the paint. Like, I really like the way they painted those plates with the black that kind of runs up over the top and also runs through the center, and how they've allowed the green to kind of creep through a lot of the cracks and crevices, and also the really nice coloration of the body, how they've allowed that beautiful orange underbelly to creep up there into the side of the dinosaur and kind of creep through some of the green scales and everything. Like, it's just really nice to look at, if you ask me. So I'm a huge fan of the coloration of the figure. The only area that I feel like coloration wise that really could have been improved a little bit would have been a little more paint on the Thagomizers, but that again is just a very small minor thing. The sculpt is quite beautiful as well. The head sculpt is beautiful because it shows a really nice look of fear on the Stegosaurus, and the positioning to the tail looks like it's rearing back and maybe about to fly forward and try to take down potentially like an Allosaurus or something that it just generally is not a fan of, maybe even another Stegosaurus that's just kind of dueling with it. But I really feel like there would be strong potential for an Allosaurus to be eyeing up this Stegosaurus as its next meal because of the look of fear on the face, and I really like that about Recur. They always add a lot of life to their figures, and that's something I definitely see here on this Stegosaurus. The actual detailing in general, like the fine detailing, is beautiful on this Stegosaurus. A lot of really nice fine detail included in like the skin texture, the scale detail, showing off skin wrinkles, skin stretching, all of that stuff. It's all beautifully present throughout this entire sculpt of the Stegosaurus. The only area sculpt-wise that's slightly a downside would be just how far apart the plates are up there on the back, but when you look at it from the side, that's not really noticeable. But again, it's just a small thing that could have been improved upon, but considering Recur always has their own kind of stylized look and feel to their figures, it's not surprising that this one as well would follow in that trend and have its own stylized look, which is something that I also quite like about the Recur figures. Of course, this is the soft, squishy feel like all of the Recur figures usually are, which allows you a really nice, safe figure so that if you are buying it for your kids, it's not something that they can hurt each other with. And also, if you're just generally a collector like me, it's a great figure to have because it's very hard to damage, like nearly impossible to damage a Recur figure, so they will last for the long haul, and that is a huge plus as well. So this is definitely a very fun release yet again from Recur, a really cool Stegosaurus. So if you are interested in picking this up, I will include a link in the description to where you can do that. So make sure you check the link in the description, which will take you to both the Recur website as well as the Recur Amazon store. So one way or another, I definitely recommend this very cool Stegosaurus and pretty much everything else that I've reviewed from Recur as well. So check the links, go buy yourself some awesome Recur figures, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe before you do, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.